In this tutorial, we create a subreport. We use subreports to create reports that contain nested data rows. You'll use the report element combined with the subreport element to add nested child reports to a parent report. The Dynamic PDF Cloud API is a set of REST endpoints for creating and modifying PDF documents. You can also use it to get metadata about those documents. It's easy to use, it's efficient and scalable, globally available, and secure. Key features include an online document report designer, merging, stamping, and adding barcodes to PDFs, form-filling PDFs and retrieving form-filled information, converting images to PDF, encrypting and securing PDFs, retrieving text, XMP, and other information. We also have an online tool called Designer that makes creating PDF documents from a report template easy and straightforward. And you can call our REST APIs directly using your own client API or a tool like curl, or you can select one of our client APIs that make calling the REST endpoint easier. We have one in C#, Java, Node.js, and PHP. Get up and running quickly using the Dynamic PDF Cloud API. Our online designer, the REST APIs, and client libraries make it easy to add PDF capabilities to your applications. The Dynamic PDF Cloud API consists of the following endpoints: DLEX layout, image info, PDF info, PDF text, PDF XMP, and PDF. Now let's go to the tutorial. Select Docs, Tutorial, Designer, create a subreport. In this tutorial, we're going to create a subreport to add nested child reports to a parent report. Often you might need to create a report where the data is hierarchical. And in this tutorial, we're going to teach you how to add a subreport to a report and create a PDF document. This tutorial assumes you already have completed the Create a Report tutorial. Before we begin the tutorial, let's look at a simple nested dataset example. Multiple states comprise the United States. Multiple cities comprise a state. In the following example, we list 2 states and 3 cities in each state. This data is best represented as nested arrays. So for our country, we would have an array of states. And for each state, we have an actual state. And then each state, we have the cities, which are the elements. So this is how you would represent a nested data set using DynamicPDF Designer. DynamicPDF Designer supports creating nested data through subreports. You can nest multiple arrays to nest multiple subreports. When creating a report with subreports, each nested array is a subreport. And each subreport has a header, footer, and details section, just like the report. Let's scroll down and look at the required resources. Before beginning the tutorial, you must add the Creating a Subreport Designer Samples folder to your cloud storage space in the Resource Manager. And there we're going to have a Creating Subreport DLEX and a Creating Subreport JSON file, and then an image that we're going to use when we create the DLEX file. Let's go ahead and log in. Okay, if you don't have an account, you can sign up for one free here, but we're going to assume you have an account, so go ahead and log in. And this takes us to the Environment Manager. So go ahead and select Manage Resources, and that takes us to the Resource Manager. Select Samples, click on Add Samples, and that opens a Samples dialog. From there, you want to select Create a Subreport. Okay. And that adds the folder, the sample folder, and its files. Okay, before we do anything, let's go ahead and look at what we're going to create. Double click on Creating Subreport. And that opens the file in Designer. And there's the report and with the subreport of what we're going to build here in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and run it. And there we go. That's what we're going to create. Okay, close it and let's return to the Resource Manager. If you're going to actually duplicate the steps and not just follow along, go ahead and delete the DLEX file. Now right-click anywhere in that pane and click New DLEX and go ahead and create the DLEX file. So creating -sub-report, create, and it creates the DLEX file. So now let's double click on the DLEX file. Let's go up to the Layout Data Editor and select that, and it opens the Layout Data Editor, and there you go. There's our data for the report. Close it. Now let's add a report. So click Add Report to create a new report. Assign coffees as the data name. Now scroll down to the report itself. And for the detail section, add type. Change the font size to 22. Set its X to 5 and its Y to 4. Set the height to 25. Now create a line by right-clicking and selecting Add Line. Change the X1 to 5 and X2 to 105. Y1 to 28 and Y2 to 28. That lines up the line just below our type. Now add the description field. Set its width to 370, its height to 30, its X to 5, and its Y to 34. And go ahead and be sure to select Expandable True. That'll allow it to grow in size if the data is more than can fit in the control. Let's go ahead and run it. And there we go. So we have our type and the description. Close it. Now we want to add our subreport. So right-click, select Add Subreport, and it adds a subreport. Before we do anything, let's change the detail height to 150. Now select the subreport, and let's go ahead and just move it over. We will lay it out a little bit better in a minute, but just move it over here. Now add variety to the details section. Okay, so it says set data names. The data names of the subreport and or report do not match this property. Oh, what we forgot to do, remember at the top level of any report is the name of the data array, or the array that we want to do. So like for coffees, that was our top level. Varieties is our top level for the subreport. Okay, now we're good. While we're here, let's change the height for the Subreports details section to 50. Now let's add a record area. So right-click, Add Record Area, and change the text to $, pound, price, pound. And what the pounds do is they allow us to embed the data within that text. So it's kind of like Cold Fusion, if you're familiar with Cold Fusion. Now select Variety, and set its X value to 5 and its Y value to 5. And select the price record area and set its X value to 110 and Y value to 5. And now let's go up to the header here, and let's change the header for the subreport to 25. And let's add a label, and let's call it Variety. Let's add another label, and let's call it Price. Let's move it over just a little bit so we can at least see it. So select Variety and set its X value to 5, Y value to 5. Okay, now select Price and change its X value to 110 and Y value to 5. That lines it up. Change the subreport's width to 250. And now let's add a line. Change the X1 value to 5, the X2 value to 210, the Y value to 22, and the Y2 value to 22 as well. Now select Subreport 1 again, and change its X value to 0 and Y value to 75, and go ahead and leave the width at 250. If you deselect the subreport, you can see how it's going to look within the details section of the main report. Okay, now select price and change its alignment to right. Same for the price label. Now select the footer and change. Now select the subreport's footer and change its height to 0 because we don't need the footer. Now let's go ahead and run it. And there you go. There's our report with the subreport. Oh wait, we forgot to add our image. Got to have our coffee beans, so let's go ahead and add that image. Right-click and select Add Image. Then for the path property, click those three little dots to open the Resource Manager dialog. Select coffee.jpg, and then resize the image. Okay, now let's run it. And there's our report with the coffee bean added. So as you can see, creating a subreport is straightforward and easy when using DynamicPDF Cloud API's DynamicPDF Designer. I'm James reminding you, when you think PDF, think DynamicPDF Cloud API. See you next time.